Hey guys, my name is Octoman and today I want to answer a request from a subscriber who was requesting a animated mesh particle system with flames. So I want to show you what this is going to look like. Well, that particle system itself is on that mesh and it looks like this, so it might hang a bit after, but basically this is animating the mesh of my character in here and creating those flames like the torch of Fantastic Four. So let's get started. At first we need those flames and the particle system working flames actually, and then we will match up everything with the mesh and all the other stuff. To create the flames I'm going to use the program graficsgale, as I have done in the last video, which was about animated particles, and we are starting with a 256 by 256 in that. If you haven't watched the last video, I'm going to explain everything I'm going to do as best as I can. So at first, that was the wrong button. First I'm going to zoom in with that loop or with that magnifier glass. Basically this program is pretty easy to understand. I would say you have your layer systems, your layers, you have your frames for the animation itself, and you have a hierarchy panel, a magnifier glass, kind of zoom, and your animation preview. If any of that are not available for you, just make sure everything is on that left side. The first things we want to make sure is that our layer is transparent in here, and the color is white, and in the frames or in the animation window I want to make sure that everything in here is also transparent at white, and the delay should be at least 10. So press OK, and what I want to start with is I choose black as my main color, choosing the biggest tool in here. I'm going to just paint a small dot in the middle, and that's pretty much the first frame. You can start smaller, but basically you don't need to. We are not going to create an explosion. We try to get some flamish touch, and so we go to the next frame. We can just go over and copy this one, or we just add a blank one. So press on that small arrow here, add, and then we are going to add this one to the right. Again, make sure it's transparent. I'm going to explain in a second why. So, and this one 10 again, press OK. So why did I say we want transparent colors? Basically with that we can use onion skin. Onion skin will show us the back frame, the forward frame, or both frames like that, semi-transparent. We just need the back frame, and I'm going to choose a smaller pen and going to use my pen and my graphics tablet and just increase everything we have. So basically I just go over and paint this out a bit. So I have some decent spikes in here, maybe one there. Just make sure everything is roundish, like flames are going to work, and maybe like so. So, and fill out the rest. If you don't want to paint out, you can also use that bucket tool. This is not great. Something like this. Always make sure that you see what you're doing in your preview window. And there's a bit to do, and that's pretty much okay. So now we start to round up everything in the next frame. Going to add one, insert to the right, again 10 frames, transparent color. So What I mean is I thin out that spikes we are going to have here, and then let them move in any direction I want. I'm going to use a smaller pen again. Switching the frames will just make sure that I don't have that graphic errors if you have seen them. And now I can just say, okay, this one is going to be a bit out here. That is going to be like there, maybe. And then just walk through every single part you want to make a bit different, or want to increase or decrease in any way, and make sure everything for now is still kind of rounded up, and increases its size depending on how far you want to go, and maybe like so. And then again, use a bucket tool and just fill it up, and the rest can also be used with a bucket tool, or just do it like so. So in the next frame I'm going to start and will give that shape some, I will start to swirl that flames to the left or to the right, depending on what direction I want, and they will get a bit spiky. So let's say this one is going to lean to the left, so I'm going to do it like so. Also this part might get a bit bigger in here, and now I lean and spike them depending on the current direction. And I think this one I will just do this one a bit deeper in here. And this might go somewhere there. Maybe I'm going to add a detail in here too, so I have later on the possibility to do anything at that position. So don't forget, before using the bucket tool, to fill out or basically to close all the lines. And clean everything up if it's needed, like so. And now we are starting to put holes inside in the next frame. Again, 10, delay, transparent, and there we go. Again, go back to the black color. This one here will stand out a bit more in the next frame. This will be a bit more like this. This is going to be maybe more like this. This can be like so. And this part is so small, it will actually just get away from the wall part. Thinning out in that. Here we're working in the right direction. This one will follow this flow, and this will be maybe like this. And this is leaning there. maybe I'm going to make a bit more inside of that, so we can make a bubble field in the middle, like maybe so. Oops, there's something not closed, so need to check. Yeah, here it is, and there's one too. And then again use the bucket tool and fill everything out. I tried to speed or do it as fast as I can, since I know this is going to take a while. We are already at 10 minutes, so I'm going to I'm not sure, I better do it like so, transparent and 10 frames. And now we can take all that parts and bring them out and rotate them more. Like this one is going to flow in this direction, so I'm going to swirl it a bit more and thin out the end, so that this gap is going to get a bit bigger. This one is going to get bigger, and this too. This is more to the inner part. This will be maybe like this. Again, this is rotating a bit. This flows from there to there. And here we thin out a bit more. So again, cleaning up a bit and then fill everything. Make sure everything is closed, like here and there and there. In the next step I will just take all that bigger parts and take them away from each other, so we have bigger holes in the middle, like here and maybe there. This is going to be deeper, and maybe just the rest of this. I'm going to take this, rotate it a bit more and leave it alone. Same here, rotate it this way, and there will be maybe just the rest of that. This can be just be away from that. This rotates a bit more, maybe like so. This is going to be alone. Here we have a gap. This rotates a bit there. This rotates there. This rotates maybe here. This can be a bit deeper, of course. This rotates like so. This is about there. And this thins out maybe something like that. So we have some rotations from all that small particle parts. Yeah, and in the next frame we will delete more and more until we have nothing left, or almost nothing left. So, and of course we rotate all that things in the right directions again. So this is going to be, or get smaller, of course. This will do its way over there. This maybe rotates a bit more like there. This will be somewhere here then. This is here and alone. This goes there. Maybe a bit too big. We want to make we want to start to small out, or to get smaller parts from time to time. That also means we want to decrease the middle or the parts in the middle, and increase the walls. Maybe do something like this. Get the rest. Close everything here. And maybe already start some small parts from that longer things in here. So maybe like this. So play around with everything and yeah, try to get your best, or the best effect you can achieve. I maybe upload this as that you can use this as an asset. If you have some spots like this, don't worry about them, because at that point they are ready, or basically they are good where they are, since we want to have nothing left soon. Currently I'm at frame 9. I planned to use at least 10. Maybe we will end up with 12 frames. Okay, this is what is good about that is we need an even number. To have no gaps in our there's somewhere, here it is. This needs to be filled. We need, or we want to make sure that we don't have any gaps in our sprite sheet later on. Okay, this rotates in this direction, so always check your animation and where you started to rotate your things to, and get smaller and smaller. Okay, I'm going to rotate this a bit here. This is going to get smaller and drag those 2 points with. This is almost there. This maybe here. and this will just have a small rest left, I believe. So okay, next frame. Oh, I forgot to fill this one here. Yeah, and now you see what happened. I forgot to add transparency, so onion skin won't work, and also I forgot to decrease that. Again, graphics bug, just go to another layer, our frame. Okay, this rotates somewhere here, this may be there. Okay, now we have 10 frames done. I think, yeah, 10 frames are pretty good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So with that, we could get smaller, we could get deeper inside that, but I already spent 20 minutes on that. So I'm going to export this one and say I have 5 columns, and with this will be a combined image. And I'm going to say this is fire test 3. I'm going to save this as a PNG and make sure that you use alpha channel and save this one. We might later on change the color or need to change that colors, but for now we just don't. Yeah, now we can go to Unity and start playing with fire actually. So let's open, or I'm going to, going to open a new scene and create a particle system, which is just the default step, of course. And I also want to import my fire texture we have just created and get this into my folder right now. So fire test 3, which is over there. What you want to make sure is, now you have that one, you want to make sure that you change this from texture to sprite, since we only then get the transparency inside of the image, and apply this one. So as you can see, transparent background, black colors. Now I hope this is going to work with black, otherwise we just need to change the colors to gray or white. But for now, we'll just take what we got in here. So back to the particle system, and now we create the fire effect. At first we need the texture sheet animation on that, from that sheet we were doing. So let's create a new material. I'm going to do that in my materials folder and say fire effect new. I don't know, call your stuff however you want. And in the albedo channel we just drag the texture inside, fire test 3. There it is. Then we go to shader, particles and use additive shading. No, additive can't be used. Since we have black particles, we need to, for now, take alpha blended, so I need to change the colors to gray. So let me do this pretty quick. You can do this in Photoshop or in GIMP or wherever. You can also add some more details using clouds. I don't know, do whatever you want to make your particle system look great. You can, I don't know if we can change all that stuff in here, but that's what I want to need to check in here. We can negate everything. I think we can do that with all that frames. So go to edit. Where did I had that? Negative. Oh, okay, I need to make this frame by frame. Too bad. So go to image and say negative with all 10 frames. And then I'm going to export that. Nope. Damn it. Okay, yeah, it's gone. I couldn't, I forgot to save. However, save this or export this as a PNG again. And then, yeah, go over and take this back. It would take me too long now to fix all that stuff right now. So I'm going to take my old, or my older texture sheet. No, that's the wrong window. So I'm not going to do this or use this right now. I'm going to use my older one, which has some grayscale inside. So basically you can use everything with white or grayscale colors. Don't just use black colors, because those will be just transparent with that shader. So again, to my particle, to my fire effect thingy here, I'm going to take my texture again using Fire Test 2 in this case, which is my older one, which has grayscale inside, as you may see here. You can also use pure white ones, it doesn't really matter. And make sure that the shader is particle additive or additive soft, so they can blend into each other, all the particles. Then we go to the particle system, renderer, and then in there we drag the new material we created, which is fire effect new. Now you can see it will pop up all that in complete sheets, but this is not what we want. We want to use a sheet, so the X is going to be 5 and the Y is going to be 2, I think. For me it's 3 because yeah, my other one has more than, so for you it's if you have 10 frames, then it's going to be 5 and 2. For my sheet here it's 5 and 3. So going to cycle only needs to be 1, and that's pretty much it. Now we decrease the speed to 0 at first, so now we can see all that colors are going to add up, as you can see over here. So with my grayscale on it, so you might want to think about getting grayscale instead of white. That additive shader is going to lighten up the middle and multiplies, or I don't know how actually this is going to do, multiplies all that stuff. For now I'm going to disable the shape, and now I can see all of them are just on the same spot. we decreasing the lifetime to 2 and the duration to 2, and also we're gonna set the start rotation random between two constants and say 0 and 360, so we have some movement inside. Back into my fire effect material, I won't go with gray or white, I won't go with maybe something red inside, or basically outside of that. And when I go into the particle system, I can say this white color in here. Oh, it's wrong. I need to do it a bit different. I need to go and choose yellow in here, but only maybe 50%. Then go to the particle system and choose in here red. So you can see it will have some reddish outlines, some yellowish second lines, and in the middle it will be white. Yeah, play around with that. There's no 100% value or stuff. Just do it however you like it. So basically you have some fireball right now, and we could just test out everything when we increase the speed a bit. We won't later on use the speed on that particle system. Let me just move the directional light a bit. So now we have some good frames. If it's looking a bit lagging or so, this might be because of my particle system, or actually my texture sheet might not work great. Okay, so now we have some rotating particles flaming, and in the end they will just go and fade out. We can always increase that animations and make them smoother and so on by adding frames in the title sheet. So make sure you save everything also in graficsgale. So doing the starting size depends later on anyways on the mesh you're using. So we have our fire right now. We can do some bit we can do stuff like size over lifetime or color over lifetime. Color over lifetime will be maybe some alpha blending out, so we can just take this one and drag it down to 0, so the flames will in the end just fade out and get transparent instead of only getting smaller through that animation stuff. Another important one will be force over lifetime, which is basically when I set the speed to 0. Oh, this was a wrong one. The speed to 0, then all will be at the same spot, but we can force them still to work by increasing any value we want. Maybe Z, maybe Y, depending on which direction your fire is going to look. And you can use force as a speed value. So you can do more or less. Okay, so this is our small fire. We can also say size over lifetime, and we can also shape this as a flame like on candles, with velocity and stuff, depending on what we need, but this is not important for my project right now. So let's get now we have that flame. I'm going to drag this one over right here. We need to do some changes anyway later on. What we now need is 2 3D models. So I'm going to show you why. At first, I have one 3D model which will just give me the mesh, and another which will hold all the informations I need. I increase the scale factor for this because this one is a pretty small model, and I want to make sure that everything is visible correctly. So at first I take my model. This has all the animations. I just imported that FBX file for this, and add all my animations and so on. For me, it's just that animation controller in here. I apply the root motion, and I can also go to the animator and do everything I need. I just want the idle animation for this one. So now I can also go over and rotate this one so to see it better in the camera, and check if the motion is working. There we go. What I noticed is the particle system, you want to pre-warm this already and also play on a wake, except you're using this as a skill on your character. So this will be my model. On this model I need a small script which I have written already, and I'm going to show you. I call this one animated mesh emitter. You can call this whatever you want. What you need is, I try to zoom in a bit to see it better. What you need is a public skin mesh renderer called mesh renderer, and also a public mesh called mesh. And in update, we need to say mesh renderer.make bake mesh, and then we bake the mesh from the mesh we drag inside. So what this is going to do is, every time this is updating, the mesh renderer, which is this one, will get baked to that mesh. What the most important thing is that you use two models, because the first model will basically kind of get overridden by the second model. This is my second model, which has this number 2, and this will be my animated one, which is holding all that stuff and which will get the particle system and all the other things on that. So this is why I drag this one inside. So I go to my scripts folder, type that 3 lines of code in a free script, go to particle effects where this one is in, and then I drag this onto my character. It doesn't really matter where it is. So what we want to do next is, we want to say what mesh renderer we want to add that animation to. So basically I just go and open this, and here's my geometry from this, and I'm going to add this to the first spot. Now I don't want this mesh to get overwritten, so I go to my 3D models folder where is just the FBX inside, and drag this mesh, which currently is looking weird, as you can see. I tell you in a second why. And I want this component or this mesh to be rendered in here. So take this from the model number 1. You can also do it different, either way, depending on what you're doing. So this mesh will get baked new every step, and when this will only happen when we press play. So now you can see nothing is really changing, but we re-rendering, or actually we re-baking the mesh every frame, every update frame. The next thing is we need that particle system to have that mesh emitting that stuff. So what you want to make sure first is that you have no rotations on here, no different scales, and set the position to 0 at first in the whole scene, so to creating or to setting the particle system on the right spot. It's going to make it easier. Now we scroll down to shape emitting, which is this one. We activate this and go from cone to mesh. Now we can choose any mesh outside of or from the scene, or any mesh you want. So we go here and I choose any of those meshes I have, or yeah, I cannot set one or from the scene, so I need to check or take it from here. Or if you are not 100% sure, so just drag the one you have. Now you can see this is rotated, so we set this one to 0, 0, 0 and make no rotation. So now you can see this mesh is already animated, or that particle system has an animated mesh on its own. So yeah, try to check this one out. Now you can see the particle mesh is following the normal animated mesh and will do all that animations you have on that character. Might be a bit behind depending on how fast this all that things is or are, but yeah, you have an animated mesh with all that particles coming out from the vertexes. You can also use edge or triangles, but basically if you have some firing up character, then basically anything is working here pretty fine. Yeah, you might want to use edges. So now you can see the particle system is working a bit differently, and we cannot really see how this is going to work. So at first we increase the force, and also you can see since we rotated it, the force is wrong. So I go back to change the force in the y-axis to maybe, I don't know, 2 at first. The next thing is the size is a bit too small. Also the emitted amount is too small, so I maybe emit for now 200 particles. And yeah, we are already, or our character already is in flames. Make sure that you link or actually make the particle system a child of your 3D model, so it will always follow up when you move it. And yeah, now you can start to play around with everything, with the force, the speed up and so on, and your character will burn the whole time. Depending, or doesn't really matter in which animation part this guy is going to be. I'm going to test this out once again. Well, you might not really know or see the particles working on, but I can tell you this is going to work properly, but will of course cost you a lot of particles. So make sure you don't use more than, I don't know, maybe 500 particles. And this is of course, I think this is not really made for mobile, so make sure you just use this on strong computers, or actually on web, at least web stuff, or just desktop games and so on, to make this not lag your computer or your client's computer. So now you know how you can use animated particle meshes and how you create flames, like that torch guy, the torch core I don't know the movie again, in Fantastic Four, yes. And that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. I hope I answered that request pretty well, and see you in the next tutorial. So if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions about, I don't know, Unity, particle systems, graficsgale, or anything else, feel free to write me a comment or a personal message, and of course thumbs this video up if you like it. So that's it for that tutorial. See you in the next one. Bye bye.